So, good morning. This is Carmen, and I am going to share a little bit about how we got started on our one to one journey at Watauga High School. I am in a unique situation. We have only 9 schools in our county, and we have 8 K 8 schools and 1 high school. So, being able to afford this for one school, even though there were 1,500 students, might have been a little more manageable because we were only the 1 high school. So here's how we got started. In about 2006, our wonderful county had the vision to take us into the 21st century, really into the 21st century, and explore going one to one. So we visited different schools that were already one to one, and we looked at grant writing, and we went to some workshops in different places in North Carolina. And we found out that it was going to be doable after talking with the school board and the county commissioners. And thank goodness it was, because it's changed the way we do things so much. When we first started, we had this as our slogan: Pioneer It, Pioneer IT, which stands for Pioneer Instructional Technology. We are the pioneers. And we were just so excited to be bringing a new one to one environment also into a brand new high school. In 2010, we moved into an $82 million building, which was set up with some of the best networking I've ever seen. And so it was just all falling into place. And we were extremely lucky to be able to move in this direction. And this is a page that I can give you access to at some point, but it's just got what we set up for students and what are the expectations of students and parents and all the paperwork they have to sign. Obviously, we started this in 2010 and now things are different. When we first deployed laptops to 1,500 students, it was such a nightmare. And now the system works really seamlessly. And these were our first laptops. They were kind of clunky, big Dells. We also gave each student a bag that was sort of shaped like the computer. So students had the computer bag, they had their laptop, they had their sports bags. So they were walking around like pack mules all day long. And of course, as all good teachers do, you have to think about, how am I going to manage the classroom with each kid having a laptop in front of their faces all day. So I was going to be cool, and I was going to have these neat little symbols. If the green computer was open, you were supposed to have your laptop out. If the red computer was closed, you were not supposed to be accessing your laptop. And that lasted about 2 days. And we'll talk about classroom management later on. The very first thing that students wanted to do was to Skype one another. I don't know why that was such a big deal, but it was. So I literally had students sitting across from each other and Skyping one another. But once they got that out of their system, it was kind of cool. It was fun to explore that the first couple of days. They had the laptops. And after 4 years, what happens was, at the end of each school year, students turn their laptops in and they're reissued their laptops in the fall. They're not allowed to keep them during the summer. And so seniors' laptops would go to incoming freshmen. But after 4 years, big laptops, they kind of lose their oomph a little bit. So we were very fortunate again to be able to lease this time these HPs. They're a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter. And teachers are issued these sleeves, and students are actually issued these backpacks. So every student, now we're down to about 1,400 students, has these. Each student has this backpack. So if you go out into town and you see a gaggle of students, you'll know they are Watauga students because they have the same backpack. They are allowed to personalize the backpacks. This one's kind of mild. Some students went crazy with patches and stitches and all kinds of cool things, but at least it makes it a little bit more personable. And I guess I've always really loved technology, but once the computers got in our hands and were in the students' hands, I started trying to think of ways to, I'm a language teacher, so a Spanish teacher. So how could my students use the technology to increase their proficiency and to build collaboration? And that's what these kids are doing right here. Because of the laptops and because of our wireless network throughout the building, my classroom doesn't have 4 walls around it anymore. My students can go anywhere in the building. And when we actually went to the Google platform about 4 years ago, I made my students go to different spots in the building so that they could create a Google Doc and work collaboratively, so that they could realize they didn't have to be sitting side by side to work on things anymore. But kids are allowed for me to go different places. I was even given the opportunity to pilot iPads at one point with an upper level Spanish class, and it wasn't as cool as I thought it was going to be. So as you can see, these kids are using all kinds of devices at the same time, but that's just kind of how we roll in my classroom. I like to try new things out to see what's going to help us, again, build proficiency. I get to the some of the first things I did, I always build a website for each unit of study that my students do. And again, about 4 years ago, I used the laptop to help me differentiate planning and learning. My students do a learning style survey at the beginning of each semester. And so then I'm able to give them access to different activities they can do. The hand obviously indicates it's a little bit more hands-on, visual, or auditory. So students can go and practice according to what they need. We also, again, I was just a Google freak, I guess. I loved the Google Drive and being able to incorporate all that for my students. And not we haven't used a textbook in about 8 years. There's very little paper and pencil. So my students build these folders, again, one for each unit of study. And these student folders are actually their master Spanish folders, and they're color coded because I had a little system going on. But it was really cool because they could just compartmentalize everything that we did in their unit folders, so that at the end of the course, they were able to build a student online portfolio. And again, we used Drive, and they got to select different pieces that they were proud of, and then they got to reflect on why they chose those samples of student work. I actually took some of the physical things I was using in the room. I have a physical student choice board that I still use, but I took that idea and made an online version, and this is the shot of that. And my students have the time to go in and do different activities, and these are all in Spanish, of course, but they go in and do different activities they want to practice on, they want to work on, and I don't have to hover over them. It's very independent because while they work on their student choice board activities, I get to sit in conference with each student. So I've really used the one-to-one program for that to really help me build in time. We have 90-minute classes, but somehow that's never enough. And so I've created time for myself to meet in conference with each student. And you can see me here. I was taking notes on the iPad, and eventually I just moved to taking notes straight on the computer. It was just a little bit faster. But the students loved having this time with me, and I loved having it with them. I made them think about how they learn and express what they're learning, what they're still struggling with. So I got more from those conferences than I could have from any other kind of paper and pencil test. And I was using our one-to-one scenario to help me do that. Again, last year, I think I'm always trying to reinvent myself a little bit, and I present nationally, and I'm a really kind of a big tech guru, I guess. And I explored some of the Google Apps, add-ons, and Chrome extensions. And I'm using one of them right now. I'm using Nimbus to do the screencast for you. You can also use Snagit, and we're going to practice with both of those today a little bit. So I've really enjoyed exploring new things that are out there. And this is from a presentation I did at the national level. And that led me to winning a national foreign language award in technology for the use of technology in my classroom. And I have to say and give credit to my county, if they had never had this vision, I certainly wouldn't have won a national technology award because I wouldn't even know what I was missing. But by them seeing where we needed to go in the future, it helped me grow as an educator, and I really am grateful for that. But of course, it's all about the students, coming back around to what's best for students. How do they learn best? Having students learn to work together cooperatively, but also being able to stand on their own independently. And I can say that our one-to-one program has certainly assisted us in doing that. It's all about the students and where we're going in the future.